And I think I'm finally live. That little bitty circle kept swirling. I didn't know if it was going to let me go live or not. Good evening, everybody. So, first and foremost, I went ahead and just put a disclosure ticker at the bottom to always do your own research. Please use discernment. Just because I broadcast it does not mean I agree with everything that I talk about. I always say do your research. I find things, I cover them, I find them interesting. You call them conspiracy theories, whatever. If you actually look into some things, you will find truth within. Okay? Hey, Gingerlock's mom. Hey, Allison. I'm good. Um, yeah, this is probably going to be like not too long of a show, but possibly about an hour. So, hey, Amanda, spooky girl. All right, so I am going to go ahead and get started. And let's see. I don't understand why StreamYards does not work all the same all the time. And it's really mind-boggling because you have something open in a whole new window for a reason, and then it's not showing up. All right, so let's do this. All right, let me get my chat up here. All right, so I'm not going to look at chat, just for the simple fact is it's going to distract me. All right, so there's this website called The Beast System Revealed. Again, I don't always agree with everything, but I will say this is very interesting. Looks like this was posted March 17th, 2020. So you have to also consider that, they made this post after this epidemic. It's not like this site was made a year in advance, right? Something else I also want to point out. Many people think that the mark of the beast has something to do with a barcode because, do you see these two little dots right here? If you can see my mouse, the middle bars represent a 6. There's always a 6 in the middle on every barcode. 6 on the end, 6 on the end. So 666. I've always thought, my personal opinion, that the biblical mark of the beast has something to do with currency. Okay? And I mean, the Bible does state that, right? It says it affects everybody. And those that have the mark will not be able to buy or sell. So we know it has something to do with money, right? So I'm going to scroll down here. This is avoidthemark.com. The mark of the beast isn't what you think. Trump, QAnon, Saint Germain, and COVID-19. Now, this right here, I wish I could just blurt this out, but whoever the owner of this website is seems to think that QAnon is actually a thing and involved. I totally disregard anything with QAnon. You got any Q people in here? Sorry, you're not going to like me on this. I think it's a total sham. Okay, so as of March 17th, 2020, please note material is not associated with or published by the Probably Alexandra YouTube channel and is used with her permission. We need to talk about the mark of the beast. While there are countless ideas and opinions about exactly what the mark is, this is mine and I will stand behind it. Whoever did this website has so much knowledge. I commend them. It's vitally important right now during the COVID-19 scare and beyond to be vigilant. The statistics simply don't add up to a worldwide lockdown that we're currently under. In this article, I'll show you exactly how I came to a specific conclusion and the ominous marks of the beast and how it plays into our current worldwide events. puts a disclaimer. The mark of the beast is not an RFID chip implant. Now, I don't think that, how does she know that? I think there's a possibility that this could be all part of it. The disclaimer should be the mark of the beast may or may not have an RFID chip implant, but you'll see once I keep reading on. Revelation 13 and 14. To give a baseline to our discussion, this shows how the Bible describes the mark of the beast. He calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, also known as 666. Note that in Scripture, your right hand represents your works and deeds, and your forehead represents your thoughts and will. I've also said the same thing for years now. The mark of the beast is going to be something you have a choice with your hand. And you also have thoughts and knowledge. The mark of the beast will not be forced upon us. We will actually have choice. But, the circumstances that come with that choice are not going to be good. The mark of the beast is going to be something that everybody wants. Just keep that in mind. And the people that are not biblical, even the people that are biblical, they may be deceived. And the Bible actually states that. You think I'm going to say that he referenced in the Scripture is an individual called Antichrist, right? It's not. It goes way deeper than that. The unfortunate endgame for those who choose. Notice I say choose, not forced. Right. We are given free will by God with everything that we do. Okay? To take the mark of the beast is detailed in Revelation 14:9 through 11. Then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast in his image, and he receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast in his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. But how will you know when the mark of the beast is presented to you? How will you possibly stop it from happening to you and your loved ones? Is it happening right now? The mark of the beast does not come from an individual called Antichrist. It's a system. And I don't know if you all have actually heard about the beast system. Conspiracy theory has it that Illuminati is the controller of our money. Well, if you take the dollar bill and you look at the back of the dollar bill, it has what? Or is it the front of the dollar bill? It has the triangle with the eye, the Illuminati. Please look into that. I'm not going to get into that into this session. Just saying. The owl also represents a whole lot. The owl and the spider, which both of those are also on the currency. The first beast, also called the beast of the sea, is the one associated with the Antichrist system. Now, the Bible references the beast of the sea. I will tell you, the sea is a kingdom in the Bible. This is the system we've been living under for hundreds of years. It's the all too familiar system of oppression, fear, debt, and slavery. But it's not this beast that gives the mark. The second beast, the beast of the earth, the false prophet system, which is also called the alliance, is the one that gives the mark. The beast is a system that represents hope, wealth, and power to the people. If we take things back to verse 11 in Revelation 13, it becomes clearer that a second beast, like a lamb, arises in the end times. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him. So these are obviously going to be 2 leaders. How the first beast has lied to us about the mark. The idea that the mark of the beast is some sort of ambiguous form of technology that somehow tracks your every movement better than an iPhone or a Fitbit, or allows you to pay without using cash better than Apple Pay or any credit or debit card, or has some new facial recognition software, like likely they're already doing in China and several US cities. They also have the social credit score in China. And they also have the tracking system of all the cameras where they know exactly who is walking, who is speaking, and who is paying with what. Okay? The facial recognition software and is given by Antichrist is a non-biblical Jesuit idea that has been popularized by a media controlled by the first beast, but it simply isn't true. One example of how we've learned to accept the idea that the mark of the beast comes from a person called Antichrist can be found in a season 8 of the popular television series American Horror Story. Yeah, I didn't watch that. In this series, a specific character is depicted as the Antichrist who arises to power. In a scene, the character even quotes incorrectly from Revelation 13:1. So I'm guessing this is what they said? And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the names of blasphemy. The writer of this series wants you to think this verse refers to a single person, and that this person is the beast of the sea, the first beast, the Antichrist. I'm going to skip this part right here because this is really not what I'm wanting to get into. I want to get to the actual mark, okay? Just know that I believe the plagues, let's see. Let me see if it'll let me share the plagues. Okay, alright, I'll wait. Because, all this goes together. I'm going to go over the 7 plagues, and it all ties in together. Let's see. Okay, this is good. To throw us off the path of truth, the agenda has convinced us that we are the problem. We divide ourselves in every way possible and fight among each other. This keeps us from learning the truth of who actually rules over us and what their ultimate goal is. You ever thought of the currency where it says, "In God we trust"? Well, the love of money is the root of all evil. Honestly, Jesus hated money. He actually told the apostles to not tithe. And in the Bible, tithing is not a form of money. It's actually a form of food. So, what would your church do if you went to, take them a whole chicken on service for tithing? They'd probably look at you like you were crazy. But it is a form, that is tithing, giving food to people. Just keep that in mind, you guys. The next purpose it has is to keep us blind from noticing when the second agenda arrives. The second agenda is when we encounter the mark of the beast. The first agenda, also still in plain sight, has already been defeated by the second agenda. But to fully understand how events will play out, we need to look at how the first agenda accomplished dominion over the people of the world. Now, over the years, I have spoke about the Federal Reserve banking system. Please look into it. All money in the U.S. is controlled by a private central bank called the Federal Reserve. As Mayor Amschel Rothschild, okay, one of the key players, all right, always, godfather of the Rothschild banking cartel of Europe, was quoted, "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes the laws." The road toward complete control for the elites of the world hasn't been easy. In fact, it's been inching its way forward for a millennia. By researching the history of central banks and the Federal Reserve System, you'll learn what a long path it's been for the first beast to gain total control over us through deceptive banking practices, debt, and a system that sets up failure and slavery. Entire books have been written on this subject. However, we've now reached the final phase, moving past the transition from the first beast to the second, into the complete and total control of the beast. The second beast will rule through the central banks. In fact, the second beast will destroy these entities. Truth mixed with deception always. You know, that's how Satan works. Satan came to Eve as an angel of light. Do you think she felt deception when she first initially seen him? No, or she would have not partook. Neither would have Adam. Of course he came to them as an angel of light, a nice, beautiful being, right? Ask yourself, however, could a single man that is yet to come somehow do this on his own? Could he somehow be worse or more evil? That the first beast system that, through their banking cartel, ran the world on the blood of human drug trafficking, SRA, pagan idolatry, CS, slavery, the strategic rejection of truth. These activities have all been hiding under our noses for hundreds of years, while we toil away in day-to-day life trying to survive. The first beast, the Cabal, is quite literally Antichrist. They follow the rules and laws of the Babylonian Talmud, which is the most Antichrist book in existence. It teaches them that you or your loved ones are nothing more than cattle for their use. So, could one man be somehow more blasphemous to God than the current world that we already live in? Is one man really the second beast, or is it more? Much more. It's time to open your eyes to the real world we live in. Now, this speaks of the rapture. My actual opinion, I don't really know, but I grew up believing in the pre-trib rapture. I think it's false. That movie Left Behind was subliminally programming people, and that's what they wanted it to do. For all of you pre-tribbers out there, I have some very close friends that, no matter what, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're pre-trib, middle trib, post-trib, okay? It doesn't matter, because in the end, it's all going to be the same, right? It all depends on your personal relationship with our Lord and Savior, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, okay? This book series also popularized the idea of a rapture. However, the rapture doctrine in these books is highly misrepresented by distortions of what the Bible really says. This is a huge topic that I'll need to cover in another article, but for now I'll just say that if you're getting your theology and end times beliefs from Tim LaHaye, it's pretty much the same as getting your news from Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow. RFID chip implants. You've probably noticed that any time someone mentions getting an RFID chip, people start to scream, "Oh, Mark of the Beast." But throwing out the term Mark of the Beast over an RFID chip implants completely cheapens the massive and worldwide event that's going to be the true mark. Now think about this for a second. I was talking about this earlier with a friend. This subject has been out there for a little while now. There are people that have actually received an RFID chip to pay for things, to, let's see, there was one person, to actually open doors to get into their workplace. I don't think this is too invasive. This is, for this to be the mark of the beast, no. Because how many people would agree to doing this, okay? No, I don't think it's going to be the true mark either. The real mark will be based upon biblical truth, correct, and actual historical events leading up to a worldwide quantum currency reset. I agree with this statement right here. I'm going to repeat this, okay? The real mark will be based upon biblical truth and actual historical events leading up to a worldwide quantum currency reset, as in the days of Noah. So put yourself back to the Noah biblical times, okay? People usually conjure up fantastical ideas that one day the entire world is going to turn upside down and everyone will immediately know that the end is here. That's exactly what the enemy wants us to believe. I completely agree with that statement. But we don't live in the movies like the enemy shows us. Remember, 2,000 years ago, nearly everyone missed the first coming of Yeshua, Jesus, because they were all looking for a king, someone they deemed worthy of being the Messiah. Correct. Just like in those days, looking for a sign today that says 666, just like the barcode I showed you, in some sensational RFID technology that is not rooted in reality, even if the idea fits with what we think will happen. Furthermore, an RFID chip implant is a technology that could potentially be forced on you. See, we are going to have the choice. Okay? The mark of the beast will be freely chosen by each individual, not forced upon them. The rules of the cabal. Lucifer and his armies are required to work within a specific set of rules. This is very important. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. If they don't closely follow these benevolent spiritual principles and forces, they cannot achieve their goals. In other words, unless we give them our permission, they cannot achieve what they set out to do. And truth be told, Satan actually has to have permission from God before he does anything. Keep that in mind. The rules are universal laws that cannot be preempted, avoided, or worked around. Malevolent forces or fallen angels and disembodied spirits of Nephilim or demons cannot do anything without our consent or that is outside of biblical prophecy. Um, I don't know if I agree with this statement. For the simple fact is, there have been children that have been um, possessed with spirits. So I don't agree with that statement. This is exactly why prophecy is so subjective. If there were too many specifics given within prophecy, instead of parables to be interpreted at the correct time, the malevolent, I can never say that, forces would be locked into fulfilling prophecy in one specific way. This would suggest a deterministic God, but this could not be further from the truth. Alright, I'm going to pause real quick and get you all up to speed and just check the chat real quick. Okay. So, see how y'all are doing. I completely agree. Hey, Skittlepox. Yes, The Exorcist, that's what I'm kind of basing that on. The Exorcist was based on a true story. Actually happened in Missouri. And post-trib pre-wrath, this is the same as pre-wrath, except I don't call the entire 7 years tribulation. Well, the entire 7 years aren't tribulation, really. I mean, it is and then it isn't. It's actually, there's 3.5 years and then 3.5 years. Now, is it the first 3.5 years of the two witnesses, or is that the end? I need to read up on that. Demons can possess people, it's well known, correct. Pre-wrath is biblical position, easily provable. Okay. Hey, Peanut, what's up? Okay. It is real, very real. Alright, yes. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. How did that skip all the way down? Wow. Crazy. Okay. So, this is exactly why prophecy is so subjective. If there were too many specifics given within prophecy, instead of parables to be interpreted at the correct time, the malevolent forces would be locked into fulfilling prophecy in one specific way. This would suggest a deterministic God, but this couldn't be farther from the truth. Think of prophecy like a hurricane spaghetti model. Okay. Certain paths end up merging into one at certain times. In prophecy, these alignments are based upon the decisions as we as people make. They are presented to us by principalities of the powers of the air and executed by the wicked people who hold positions of high power. But the ultimate decisions remain with us. The idea of a worldwide RFID chip being forcefully implanted into every single person doesn't follow the very laws that the dark cabal must follow. Yeah, because if the RFID chip was forced, which we already know that's not the mark of the beast, the mark of the beast is going to be freely chosen. Okay, um, they cannot force it upon us. So, what this is saying is if the RFID chip was forced on every single person, there's no way that that could be the mark of the beast, A, because it's forced upon somebody, and because it's forced upon everyone. So, Christians are not to receive the mark. So, it makes no sense that that would be the RFID chip. Say, however, that for some reason that were to happen. What system would the RFID even chip run on? That sentence doesn't make sense. How would it operate indifferently from your current? An IP address, a cell phone, a bank account? I don't know how that thing works. I know it's a grain of rice. I do know that it can cause a grievous sore. So that's a lot. That's why a lot of people think that the RFID is the mark of the beast, because the lithium battery, it has a special lithium battery inside of it that actually causes a grievous sore. A few years ago, there was a scientist that came out, and he's no longer, he helped create it, and he has walked away from that. And he came out saying that it was the mark of the beast, but after we read this article, you'll see that it's not. Now, does it have something to possibly do with it? Is it concurrent with it? I think so. I think it's so hard to explain. After we finish, you all will know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Because it has something to do with currency, with being able to buy or sell. That's why I think it is involved, but it is not the actual mark. Does that make any sense? How exactly would it work to connect all people in all places? You see, the chip itself is superfluous when you take it to its logical conclusion. Instead, something revolutionary must happen that has never been uncovered or understood until the right time. Something like a new quantum financial system. Keyword right here is quantum. The internet now is ran by a huge quantum computer. Do you know that CERN in Switzerland, the big I think it's 17 miles around, okay? CERN runs on the quantum computer as well. Yes, I believe we're definitely in the last days, Mia. So here we go. Nasara, Jasara, and Saint Germain. Now, I had never heard of Saint Germain until this website. Okay. Nasara began with Saint Germain. This is the event that has been in the works throughout all of human history. Saint Germain is one of the most key figures in the New Age belief system. So all of you New Agers out there, that's why you know who he is, and that's why I don't. Because I am not all for love and light and blah, 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 blah. This New Age belief system. It is said to be an ascended master, but his spirit is ancient. It goes far beyond what we know as the human of Saint Germain. Since we're on the topic of saints, okay, did you all know that there was a saint called Saint Corona, And guess what Saint Corona was in charge of? Do we have any answers in the chat? I'll wait just a second. Do 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 do. No, Saint Corona was actually the saint of plagues. Yes, there you go, Lennon. Correct. Do do. All right, just wanted to put that out there. Give you something to research a little bit later. It's been documented that in 1729, Saint Germain was working on the establishment and funding of a New World monetary trust. So keep that in mind, 1729. The Saint Germain World Trust now contains the majority of wealth that will be distributed to the world once the new financial reset takes place. Now, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research into this whole aspect to make sure that it is truth. I've never heard of this, but once we go on, you all will understand why I do think that there is some truth in this. Today, St. Germain's World Trust Prosperity Program is known as NESARA and JESARA. NESARA stands for National Economic Security and Reformation Act. It applies only to the United States. So keep that in mind, you all. While JESARA, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, applies to the rest of the world. For centuries, elite families who, quote, follow the light, or the agenda of the second beast, the beast of the land, have been contributing to this world trust. Saint Germain specifically stated that the money in his world trust would be used in the future for prosperity and humanitarian purposes. Now, after over 250 years of contributions by the rich and elite followers of light, and compounding interest, St. Germain's World Trust is over $1 quadrillion. Yeah, we're used to only seeing millions, billions, and trillions. So, basically that's 45, say, with 45 zeros behind it. A 1 with 45 zeros. That is a lot, you guys. It is more important to note that the United States was none other than St. Germain's own Masonic experiment. All of you Masons out there, I don't know if you know how I feel about it, but, the bottom low Masons, not all Masons are bad, okay? I think a lot of their eyes are blinded, just like the Jews were when they crucified Christ. But once you get higher up into the 32nd and 33rd degrees, you actually have to give your soul over to Lucifer. There have been Masons that have come out of the Masonic Legion and have confided that that is the truth. There have been Masons that have left for that simple reason. The reason there's a program specifically for the United States and a separate worldwide program is because the U.S. determines, to a large extent, what happens in the rest of the world. This was St. Germain's plan from the very beginning. The World Trust will be launched in the U.S. under the name NESARA and will be the first country to distribute the prosperity funds. Draining the swamp, the false prophet system. Dr. Harvey Francis Bernard, a Louisiana graduate in the systems philosophy, and an engineering consultant and teacher, created the NESARA proposal during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Remember that, 1980s, okay? He printed 1,000 copies of his proposal, titled Draining the Swamp, Monetary and Fiscal Policy Reform, 1996, and sent copies to all members of Congress, believing it would pass quickly on its merits. Yes, draining the swamp. Sound familiar? We hear that all the time today, don't we? Although the mainstream narrative states that the proposal died before ever gaining traction, the truth is actually quite different. Oh, let's see. My mouse keeps going over to the other side for some reason. It is said that NESARA was secretly passed by the U.S. Congress on March 9th, 2000. The military forced Bill Clinton to sign it into law under threat. I don't think this is quite a true statement. The military doesn't force the president to sign anything. Sorry, but I don't think that's a true statement. But they're saying, yes, the military, the ones who are behind the entire worldwide QAnon movement and are part of the second beast system. They actually forced Clinton, a dark Kabbalist who is part of the first beast system, to sign NESARA into law. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to look into that because I really don't think that's correct. Jesara is a part of the Paris Agreement that was signed into law in 2015. Remember, Trump took the U.S. out of the Paris Agreement in 2019. The reason was simple. The U.S. is not part of the Jesara because the Jesara is global. NESARA is for the United States. We have NESARA, the version that's specific to the United States. The move had nothing to do with climate change. Climate change is a whole nother thing. As a program, NESARA can be viewed from a couple different perspectives. The New Age state, NESARA is a spiritually directed financial program that can be attributed back to Saint Germain. It was designed to provide a new economic system for the world during the time of transition. All right. I am going to skip. Oh, I will say this. Allegedly, 9/11 was a perfect example of how the hand of biblical prophecy simply can't be forced. Okay? If this mark with NESARA and Jesara is Mark of the Beast, they're stating that they were supposed to distribute and actually launch Jesara and NESARA on September 11th, 2001. And that's why the attack happened. Okay? I'm not sure if I believe that, but, everything happens for a reason, right? And we all know, well, not we all, but I'm just, my opinions on 9/11. Today, however, oh yeah, I'm skipping this part. I just wanted to say that real quick. All right, so here's how this new currency, I will say, is why I think it's part of the Mark of the Beast system. What NESARA will do for the U.S. and the world. Think about this as a whole, you guys. She says, now take a breath. Remember how the amount of money, how much money is in the St. Germain World Trust. Okay? NESARA funds will first be used to buy out all oil corporations, banks, pharmaceutical cartels, and zeros out of all their debt. Think about that for a second. Once all of those funds are paid out, the remaining funds will be distributed to the people, us, or whoever decides to go with this. Now listen, here's what they plan on doing with it for every citizen who signs a personal contract with the new alliance. You're going to be given the choice to sign it or not sign it. It is a personal contract. Look, they will forgive all mortgage, bank debt, credit card debt due to the cabal's illegal banking and government activities. They will eliminate the Federal Reserve System, abolish income taxes. Who would not want this done? Okay, everybody is going to want this. Even Christians will be deceived. Abolish the IRS. Create flat rate, non-essential, new items only sales tax revenue to fund the new government. Drastically increase benefits to senior citizens. Return true constitutional laws to all citizens and courts. Establish new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days of NESARA's announcement. So, we all know that there is an election this year, right? Now look, you guys, the day after I seen this website, I saw that many articles that stated that Trump wants to abolish the Federal Reserve and back it by gold. This is all falling into place. I had just got through telling my husband about this Mark of the Beast system. He is the one that showed me. Okay? I just told him about it. Not 5-10 minutes later, he shows me that Trump wants to abolish the Fed and start backing money by gold. So that, I don't, everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences, but wow. I was so glad that I told him when I did. They will create a new U.S. Treasury currency. They will call it the rainbow currency. Mandolin, if you're still listening, this is what I was talking about as far as rainbow. The rainbow is God's promise that He will never flood the world again. Back in Noah's days. The end days will be so like the days of Noah, you guys. The new currency will be backed by gold, silver, platinum, and other precious metals. In the bankruptcy of the United States initiated by FDR in 1933. That's why I messed up a while ago calling the Fed FDR. Stop all special interest groups. Now listen. Let me state this. This also goes along with political and the presidential time of the 80s of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's, you all. There was a lot that he was talked into signing that we are not aware of. This comes from insider information. You need to look at COG, okay? C-O-G. Stop all special interest groups. Closely monitor the validity of elections. That should be done anyways, right? Establish worldwide peace. In the end days, Revelation says, when they say peace and security, keep your eyes open. Know that the end is near. Establish worldwide peace. U.S. troops will be brought home from around the world and peace is declared in alignment with the Constitution. There will be no standing armies and that will be permanently observed. Release enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes, you all. A lot of people have huge hearts. This right here is going to sell them on this aspect. Oh, well, if it's for humanitarian purposes, heck yeah, but every citizen that signs up for this contract will receive an enormous sum of money, not to mention all of your debt is going to be taken away. Your house is going to be paid for. Your cars are going to be paid for. Your taxes are going to be gone. The Fed is going to be abolished. We're going to have a brand new currency. All digital, okay? Enable the release of thousands of suppressed technologies currently being withheld. If you're not aware, the government and elites, they are 50 to 100 years ahead of where we are at as far as technology. The technology that we are using today, they were aware of back 50 to 100 years ago. Call me crazy, but, you guys, this includes free energy devices, anti-gravity devices, sonic healing machines. If this is true as far as the sonic healing machines, many people are going to fall for that. Just for, all of these key aspects. I'm not saying this is all true, okay? But this all makes sense. It also says in the Bible that technology will be increased. Right? Initiate the first phase of worldwide prosperity distribution of vast wealth that has been accumulating for hundreds of years. Did you all see where the stimulus check, the Democrats are trying to get, but it's been like this digital US dollar, they're wanting to pass this new digital US dollar. That was just in an article today. Never fear any man. Pray to God. He will He will comfort you. He will protect you. You shall ask and you shall receive. Okay? I'm sorry you're late. Misha, sorry, hon. All right. So even though the U.S. was on a gold standard before Richard Nixon took us off of it in 1971, this time will be very different. Nixon took the U.S. off the gold standard in order to create debt and make the Federal Reserve more powerful. That is true. The new gold, however, isn't coming from the Fed or any other country's central banking system. Rather, it will be coming from St. Germain's World Trust. See, that kind of conflicts what they said. I thought there was actual currency. I mean, what? You're telling me that St. Germain had a digital currency back 250 years ago? Maybe he has that much worth in gold. You know, the 1 and then 45 zeros. So I guess that's what it is. But how can gold gain interest? It's just some of this doesn't really all add up. So the eternal oath. But this is just to keep in mind. They keep talking about a digital currency, you guys. Be very wary of a new digital currency, especially for the U.S. Just keep that in mind. That's what I'm trying to get into, trying to explain. If they bring us a new currency and if there are stipulations in a contract that we have to sign, don't do it. Follow your discernment. Follow your gut on this, you all. The eternal oath. Now, this is very interesting. Before we the people can accept these funds, each individual will be required to make a pledge to use this money for humanitarian purposes. Like I said, that's going to be a huge seller. Or make some sort of large-scale oath to humanity. Not surprisingly, there's already a blueprint for this. It reads such as, upon this eternal oath, I freely pledge to dedicate my mind to the discovery of knowledge. I'm not going to read this out. I don't agree with it, and I'm not going to dedicate anything. I'm just going to let you all see that right there. All right. Dedicate my efforts to the process of abundance. See, they're wanting people to dedicate their soul. If you see anything like this whatsoever, I would know that especially Christians are not going to sign this. Okay? I don't care if they're going to want to pay off everything that I own. Nope, not doing it. But then again, if you don't do this new currency, what will you not be able to do? You will not be able to buy or sell. Makes sense, you guys? It's going to be a whole new currency. You're not going to be able to buy or sell. Dedicate my existence to bringing all people in all places into unification, and dedicate my life and days upon this planet to the protection and abundance of the human species. On this day of blah blah blah, take eternal pledge. Now, what's on your dollar bill? Looks a little bit different, but this is the Illuminati, and this is the Eye of Horus. Guess whose eye that is supposed to be? Satan's. And looks like there's 3 different. You all will see this in movies. You all will see this in Disney. You all will see this many places. Illuminati. And I'm guessing this is what it's going to look like. I don't think it's going to be. Maybe she has some inside information, but I don't think it's going to be that elaborate. Now, if you'll notice in the background, it has the actual pyramid with the eye that's on the dollar bill. If you ever get a chance, just some free time, take a look at your money. Get a magnifying glass if you have to. Very interesting. Swearing an eternal oath doesn't sound that bad, right? Yeah, it does. Especially for the good of humanity. James 5:12 strongly disagrees. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay, lest ye fall into condemnation. Matthew 5:34 through 35 states the same. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool. The people in the U.S. are the ones in most danger for signing this oath and accepting these funds, which is what they say is the mark of the beast. Those in the U.S. will be first and probably won't realize within a few days, or weeks, or after they accept. The entire world will be on the exact same system. All banks throughout the world will be forced to announce the new quantum financial system, Gesara, after only a few days of Nasara's official announcement. The Jubilee and deceiving the elect. This entire idea is based in the Hebrew and is called the Jubilee, where all debt is canceled. But why do you think that everything associated with this global financial reset, the mark of the beast, is based upon biblical terms? For example, Matthew 6:12 says, "And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." It's in the Lord's Prayer. It's almost as though they are trying to deceive the very elect, correct? Which they certainly are. I absolutely agree with that. In the U.S., there will be a grace period where your current Federal Reserve notes will continue to be accepted and then taken out of circulation. But after that time, only the new currency will be accepted. In other words, you won't be able to buy or sell without it. Just as Revelation 13:17 says, "And that no man buy or sell, save that he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." The reason gold-backed money is so important. The alliance is so important to the alliance because of the biblical King Solomon, who was one of Saint Germain's prior incarnations according to the New Age Luciferian beliefs. Alright? That's what they believe. King Solomon was one of the world's foremost alchemists, occultists, and was guided by none other than Lucifer himself. He was also the richest man who ever lived. Basically, King Solomon and his New Age spiritual lineage are the 666. For Revelation 13:18 says, "Here is wisdom, let him hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 666." And we see that in 1 Kings 10:14. Now the weight of the gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. Interestingly enough, God gave us all the information we need to decipher the Bible, all within its pages. In other words, the Bible cross-references itself to show the ultimate truth. Yes, for every verse in the Bible, there's another verse to correspond with it. With a little study and research, the parallels and warnings about Solomon, and the spiritual lineage that led to Saint Germain, Donald Trump, and 666 can be found in other places of the Bible, such as 2 Chronicles 9:13. God does not repeat himself without reason. We need to heed his clear warning. And I'm almost on the hour mark, so I'm going to talk about this and then I'm going to go ahead and end it. I think this is the end of it anyways. The return of Christ. If you believe this to be the mark of the beast, then you must also believe that Jesus is returning any time thereafter. Yeah. So the first plague is the the first plague is actually the Antichrist. I had that open. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go after that. See, it's so hard with StreamYards to show these different pages, but I will show it here in a minute. While nobody can be sure exactly when Jesus will return, he doesn't even know when he's returning. Only the Father in heaven knows. It seems likely that he will return before the grace period between currencies runs out. Remember, Jesus said that nobody knows the day or hour of his return. He did not say that we would be blind in the general time frame of the return. Let it be known that the Bible also does not state that you will not know the year. Just saying. Don't buy into the fear, though. We're not supposed to fear any man. Do not buy into the peer pressure. Don't buy into the hype. There will be public shaming and probable financial difficulties when you choose to refuse the mark of the beast. There will be an overwhelming group of mentality of acceptance that will be fueled by the love of material things. You know, you can't take these things with you when you go. And our flesh is of dirty rags. People that love material things, people make gods out of their things, and it's so upsetting to me. We might easily be confused into thinking that this is something very good. It will be presented as something that you want or need to have. You'd be a fool not to accept it. I mean, seriously, who wouldn't want to be free from all earthly debt and be filthy rich? Living in a utopia, this is exactly how we've been conditioned to want to operate in this world. Then it goes on to read Matthew 6:24. Ye cannot serve both God and money. Always keep in mind that none of the stuff here on earth has any external value. And I don't have to get into all this with you. Jesus did face the same decision. Now it's your turn. Jesus was tempted by Satan. I will give you all of the lands as long as you bow down to me. That's why Satan is the god of this world. If he was able to tempt Jesus with all of the land, what does that tell you? So, we're going to go back to the monetary, the money. In God we trust. I don't think that's the same God, which is the creator. For the love of money is the root of all evil. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of soul mind. So, I'm going to go over this real quick. Share screen. Oh, now it's working. Okay. I don't want a free gift. What are the 7 seals and trumpets in Revelation? The 7 seals and 7 trumpets are a series of catastrophic events that will take place during the end days to enact the judgment of God upon the earth. Note that the Bible also says Christians will not see the wrath of God. However, it does not say that we will not see Satan's wrath. A lot of people get that mixed up. Editor's note, this previously written article has become a resource for many seeking to understand if the coronavirus pandemic is an end times plague. We hope it can direct you towards scriptural truths about plagues and a study of the book of Revelation. In addition, the following articles may offer more encouragement for all to remember as we face the trials of COVID-19 together. This was just added. This was not here when I initially found this article. Wow. Prayers for peace amidst pandemic fear. What does the Bible say about corona? All of this has been added. Wow. Okay. I thought there were 7 plagues, not 10. Wow. So, I want to just go over the first one, and I might do a separate live or a separate video. Alright, so the first seal, Revelation 6:2. The first seal introduces the Antichrist onto the scene as a rider of a white horse. This rider wears a crown and will deceive many with talks of peace, but he will wage war against the saints. The second seal, despite the promises of peace from the Antichrist, warfare will break out after the seal breaks. A red rider on a horse slays a great number of people. Right here. I personally believe the Antichrist is a man. Okay? That's what the Bible states. And I believe he's already here. He just has not come on the scene. But this right here, a red rider on a horse slays a great number of people. I don't know if many of you all have looked at the coronavirus, but it actually is red. The actual depiction of the coronavirus is red. Now, as far as the horse slays a great number, I think it's because you've got the four horsemen. That's why it says a horse. So the third seal, a rider on a black horse will spread famine throughout the earth. With whatever population is left on earth from after the warfare, they will have to survive by bare means of food. The fourth seal, death riding upon a pale horse wipes out 1/4 of the earth. Many had attributed the events of the second through the fourth seals to the great wars, famines, and bubonic plague which wiped out good portions of Europe in 14th century. The fifth seal, those martyred will ask God how long until he judges earth. They are told a little while longer and given a white robe. The sixth seal, catastrophic natural events take place from a rattling earthquake, the sun turning black, the moon turning blood red, and mountains and islands disappearing. The seventh seal, silence fills heaven, reminiscent of the Sabbath day of rest God took on the seventh day after creation. A brief pause occurs before the following judgments. After the silence, angels sound the seven trumpets, the next septet of judgment. The first trumpet. Hail, fire, and blood will rain down on the earth and wipe down 1/3 of all plant life, as in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. This has happened before. The second trumpet, a burning fountain falls onto the sea, turns 1/3 of the ocean to blood, and 1/3 of all sea life dies. The third trumpet, a star called wormwood poisons 1/3 of all the fresh water supply. The fourth trumpet, 1/3 of the moon, stars, and sun darkens. Fifth, demon locusts with human faces, long hair, lion's teeth, and the power of a scorpion sting, plague, and sting non-believers for 5 months. Those who are stung will wish for death but will not be able to die. Okay? And it also, when it talks about these demon locusts, it says they will not eat of the green grass. Keep that in mind. When the locusts come, they're not going to, but it says they have human faces. I remember the scripture reading a little bit different. I don't remember the human faces parts. But there's parables in the Bible. You have to look into it. I don't think that that's demon locusts. I've never heard of it said that way. Just saying. The sixth trumpet, 4 fallen angels are released and wiped out people from sulfur and fire pouring out of their mouths. They managed to wipe out 1/3 of mankind. The seventh trumpet, another break of plagues and on to the 7 bowls of judgment. 24 elders in heaven declare it's time to destroy those who destroy the earth. The temple in heaven opens, featuring the Ark of the Covenant. I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'll go into the chat, and then we'll go ahead and end it. God has provided us a blueprint of what will take place during the end times. As we rapidly approach such times, we should be aware of the severity of judgment that will take place. When we have become cognizant of such catastrophes that will take place, we understand the great cost of Jesus' salvation for us to spare us from God's judgment. We also understand we need to spread the gospel to as many souls as possible so that they can receive God's grace from this wrath. Keeping in mind some plagues only affect non-Christians, the locusts for instance, if they accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, they will avoid some of these events that will take place in the future. The Bible says that we as Christians will not see God's wrath, so they will not avoid some, they will avoid all. Just saying. Alright, so that's the end of that article. Let me get the chat completely open here. How are you all doing? Yeah, they say a meteor's coming now. I heard that, Tim. But, like the Bible says, it will poison the water supply when it does come. Whether those are in order, I do believe so. Like I said, always do your own research. Ask for discernment. If you don't have discernment, pray that you receive it. Thanks, Mia. Appreciate it. I thought it was interesting So I mean, we need to just keep in mind they keep talking about this digital currency. I don't have a good feeling about it. That's my opinion. Do your own research. But if any of you all feel good about this digital currency, you know, I'm just saying. This is all like I just found this week, and now they're already talking articles today talking about the US digital dollar. Appreciate it, you guys. Hey, Donna, JVIP. God bless you all. Thanks, Lennon. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Do y'all have any questions or anything? I think I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I need to get a drink. I went a little over an hour. And, you know, I've got my comments turned off right now. I will put them on to this stream. But I will put it to where I have to approve all comments. So if you do comment and it disappears, I did not remove it. I just have to approve it. Okay? And I have a reason for doing so. All right? Yes, Mia, it's time we all sound the alarms. Bless you, Kim, and everyone shouting from the rooftops. Thank you, dear. Love you, Mia. Much love to you all. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and end this. I'm going to get a drink and a snack, and I promised little man I'd watch a movie with him. Hey, K-Town, how are you? So, like I said, I don't agree with everything on that website, you guys, but my main thing is this whole new digital currency. Just be wary of it. If you are asked to sign anything, read every jot and tittle on that contract. If you have to read it more than once. Okay? What's up, Unimatrix? Alright, guys. Much love, you all, and I will talk to you later. God bless you all.